Today is Friday, August 26, 2022. It is also day 200 of Blender, and today I'm going to make a glass of milk with geometry nodes and quick fluid, but the difference between yesterday and today is that today I'm actually going to render the entire video versus yesterday I just rendered one frame, which is what you see here in day 199. Alright, so I'm going to go to Blender and, oops, I don't even have it open. Alright, so Blender, I'm going to click on General, go to the top, scroll down to Geometry Nodes, and then I'm going to hide the spreadsheet, and then click on New for a new Geometry Node system. I'm going to disconnect these two, and then I'm just going to go here to Add Mesh Primitives and add a cone, and that kind of acts like just like a preset for a shape. Connect that to the output, and then the goal here is to make the shape of the cup, and so I'll just increase the radius of the top just a little like this, and then increase the depth also, which increases just like the height of the cup. And then I'll change the fill type to be none because we don't actually have closed sections at the top of cups, and so that removes that closed section, but that also leads to another problem, which is it also opens up the section at the bottom, but we'll fix that in a few moments. So I'll go ahead and click on Apply, the little arrow there. I'm going to go to Layout, and I'm going to right click Shade Smooth to smooth that out, and then I'm going to go into Edit Mode by pressing Tab or just using this toggle menu. Go to Edge Select, and then just middle mouse button and kind of just rotate down, and while pressing Alt, I'm going to select the bottom edge and then press on F to create a new face from that edge, and that obviously creates a face from that edge. And now I have the cup closed at the bottom. I'm going to go back to object mode, and now I have my cup shape. Only thing is I might want to give it some thickness, so I'll go to modifier properties, which is the wrench icon, and add a, let's say a solidify modifier, which should be under the generate column. And then I want the thickness to be towards the outside, so I'm going to change the offset to 1, and then I'm going to select even thickness, so it's even, and just kind of play around with the thickness a little bit, so something like this would be okay, 0.09. I'm going to apply that, and then I'm going to go to, I'll just do Shift A and add Mesh Plane to add a backdrop. So I'll press S to scale, then I'll go to Front View by pressing the button under the Escape key and hovering over Front, and selecting that. I'm going to go into Edit Mode by pressing Tab or just using the toggle menu. Make sure you're in Edge Select, select the back edge, E to extrude that edge, and then Z to extrude along the Z axis, which is the blue axis over here. And then I'm going to go back into object mode and go to the modifiers and add a bevel. And I'm going to increase the amount and increase the segments, and then I'm going to apply, and what that does is just, creates a backdrop. I'm going to right click Shade Smooth, and then S, and then press on X to scale along the X axis, which is the red axis. And then probably move it down, so G to grab, and then Z to grab along the Z axis, which is up and down. Alright, now I'm going to go to render properties, or not render properties, but render preview to see it in the render preview. Alright, and then I'm going to work with, let's say, the background color of the plane, not the plane, the backdrop. So I'm going to go to material properties, click on new, and I have this color over here that I might want to use. Which one? I think this one, the pink one. I'm going to just go to base color and then go to hex and then paste that color in there. So that's EF476F. Alright, and that's what I'm looking at currently. And then I have the cup, so I want it to be glass. So the way to do this is to first have the render engine be cycles, and then I'll go to material properties and give it a new material and change the surface to be glass BSDF. And then I'm going to decrease the IQR by a lot. Something like, just kind of playing around with the values. Maybe 1.4, decrease that a bit. And then definitely decrease the roughness. That smooths it out and it's less like rubbery. And then definitely just a little bit more of the IQR, so there's like kind of like a spot in the middle, like kind of 0.900 is good. And then I'm going to go to render properties and scroll down into light paths, and then go to the direct light and change that to 4, and then indirect lighting, change that to 1. Alright, and then now I'm going to go to material properties so I can add the actual, the liquid. So I'll go, and as I'm selecting the cup, I'll go to object and then go to quick effects, quick liquid, and that's going to set up my little animation here. So This is the domain, this box that is currently yellow. I'm going to press on G and then Z to grab along the Z axis to move it towards the top here. And what that does is just acts kind of like a guardian, so none of the liquid is going to get out of this box. It's just kind of like you're seeing within the scene. Alright, and then the actual liquid is going to be a sphere. So where is that? UV sphere. I'm going to do G to grab and then Z to grab along the Z axis, and by Z I mean Z. Alright, and then let's go to physics properties, which is this little icon here. Change the fluid, make sure that's flow, because that's what's going to be flowing. The flow type is liquid, so it's liquid that's going to be flowing from that, and make sure that the flow behavior is the geometry. So it's like the actual shape of it is what's going to convert or transform into a liquid. And then the domain should be domain already, domain should be liquid. And then this last thing here, I need to change that to a vector because it's the object that's being affected by the flow. And then I'm going to change the surface to be 0.5, I believe it's surface thickness, and then is planar. And what both of these things do is just kind of, it's another way to prevent the liquid from seeping through the actual cup. Alright, and then let's see, let me go to the domain and change the resolution to be 64. And I'll also go scroll down and make sure mesh is on, and what that does, it just allows Blender to know that, hey, the flow is what I want, you know, the shape of it, the geometry of it, the mesh itself is what I want the liquid to be. Alright, and then let's see, I want to pull up my timeline a bit, and let me do Control S and save this, save it here. And what's another thing I want to do? I think that's it, right? Just maybe change the material to be, instead of glass BSDF, I'll change it to principled BSDF, and then have it be white, so it's like a, you know, like a milk. And yeah, so then let me run that. The way that I run it is, let me go to wireframe mode. I'm going to go to the domain, which is this little cube here. It should be selected already. If I go to physics properties, I scroll all the way down, I click on replay, and then make sure it's resumable, and then play it, and then it should start animating and going through the cup as so. And you can see even like a little bit just kind of flew out of it, out of the cup and seeped through the cup. So in order to kind of fix that, I could increase the subsurface, whatever it's called, or I could increase the resolutions maybe to 70 and run that one more time. So I'll go down here and just, it's a bug, so in order to do this again, you just have to change it to replay again, go back to 0 and play it again and see if it seeps through again. Alright, there we go. So increasing the resolution definitely helps for controlling the seeping of the liquid. Alright, so just let that, you know, go, and that's basically what I'm going to render. Like, this whole animation is what's going to appear in the video. Alright, and I think that's okay. I could stop it there maybe. Okay, I'm going to press escape, and then I believe I stopped it right, maybe I'll do just 150, so it ends at 150. Alright, and let me look at what it looks like here. So clearly it looks like milk. That's very glossy. Alright. And then the last thing I would want to do is hide the actual flow. So I'm going to press on H, but that hides it only from my viewport, but I also want it to be hidden in the render. So I'm going to press here in the outliner, and I'm going to press on that camera, and that means, hey, I don't want to see you in the final render. But I am still going to see the liquid itself, but that's fine, but not the actual, like, ball. Alright, and now for the actual rendering part, because we're done now, I'm just going to go to the top, scroll down to the plus, video editing, move this all the way towards the left, and I'm going to go to output properties and select a folder for all of my images to go into. So I'm going to go desktop, Blender, animations, this one over here, accept, and then I'm going to make sure that the frames, my 150 frames, are rendered as PNG images. So I'm going to render them as images first, and then later on I'm going to put all of the images together and just have them be like in a video. Okay, so yeah, that's literally it. Is there something else that I want to do? I'm just trying to make sure I did everything. I covered everything. Maybe the lighting. Oh, I didn't align the camera to the view. See? That would have been a problem. Alright, so let me do one. So the most important thing is to align the camera to the view. So that is control pad 0, maybe frame 1 so I can see where the ball is. So it's going to have to end up being a little bit farther than that. Maybe just S and then X this to kind of align that, or maybe do S and then Y to scale along the Y axis. And just kind of play around with that. Control on numpad 0. Control. And let's see, I'm going to go to video editing, and I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to change the output. So I'm going to create a new folder here called video. This is where my video is going to be rendered into the file format FFmpeg video. Encoding container should be MPEG-4, and the output quality should be high quality. And then yeah, that's it. So I would have to go add an image sequence and just go to that folder that I had here in Blender, animations, I believe it's the last one, select the first image, scroll all the way down, and then shift select the last image, and then just add image strip, and it's just going to put all those images together, and that's what it's ending up as. And then just go back here, Control S, and then render animation, and then that is the final result.